When I finally quit my primary school and I went into my middle school, my new classmates of mine, and especially the male ones, they were on a whole another level. Because now I wasn't just on my separate village that was quite peaceful. I was now in the big city, where all of the types of people gathered around, and all of these types of various elements came together to form this huge concoction of a class that was my class, unfortunately. These classmates of mine, although they were quite nice, like if you talk to them one on one, each and every single one of them is completely fine if you just talk to them. But when they mix together, oh boy, they're like fucking TNT. They can literally blow up in the most unexpected reactions ever. They laugh, they joke about the most fucked up shit sometimes. And yeah, but they are still pretty nice, and yeah, subconsciously, that penetrated my subconscious mind, and I was quite wary of them. And I don't want to say I was scared of them, but I was quite anxious of them. I was anxious because I didn't want to draw any attention on myself. I saw what kind of jokes they were making about themselves, and what kinds of things they were getting themselves into. And I just wanted to stay separate from that. So most of the time, I was just alone there on my mobile phone, doing whatever I wanted to do. And yeah, they just leave me alone, even until today. They just don't care about me at all. Like, of course, we still say hi to each other, we still fist bump each other, and we still dap each other up if needed to. But that's about it. And I like it that way. But for most of the time, I thought that whenever they were making fun of me, they were just testing. Or I wouldn't say making fun of me, but basically like nagging me, Just starting with like small jokes. And yeah, they were just testing my limits because like that's just their nature. And they wouldn't do it as much often as you would think. Probably only like once per 6 months, I believe. Yeah, and that's even a stretch. But still, they wouldn't I know they wouldn't be doing it just so that they could genuinely get a reaction out of me. They were just doing it to just draw attention on themselves, which is okay. And so this time, oh boy, basically, uh, the teacher, our math teacher, basically sat me down in like a different chair, and that was because she needed the desk where I was sitting for another classmate of mine that was writing an exam that she didn't wrote because she was missing on that day. So she sat me down in front of one of these guys who was one of the biggest messers out there. And so as I was just sitting there, just thinking about my own life and planning ahead, and keep in mind, yes, I will admit this. This was even during my self-improvement journey, and especially when I was recording videos for our clan, for this channel. This happened during this time. I think it was like in June of 2024. Yeah, around that time. Basically like a couple of weeks before school was supposed to end. As I was sitting there, I felt right this light rub on my left arm, on my left back almost. And I just thought that, oh, maybe it was just something like a mistake or whatever. But then it continued for like another 2 seconds. So then I turned to my left and I looked behind me. And wouldn't you know it, it was that guy who was rubbing his bottle on my back. And so I was like, could you stop it? I genuinely just looked him in the eyes and with a deep voice. And I literally even stopped the smile that I'm doing most of the time because of how mindful I am. And I just, yeah, I wasn't having it. And he was like, and the girl that was sitting next to him, she even said that, oh, please stop it, bro. It's not worth it. And he even said, and something about what he said later rubbed me just the wrong way, like whatsoever. And I was like, and he said, what? But he allowed me to. Because keep in mind, I'm not that kind of guy who just acts fast. I'm not that kind of guy who, if you just slightly touch him, he just like turns around in zero point 0.1 seconds and he starts shouting out at the top of his lungs. I'm not that type of guy. So I just waited like 3 seconds. So that might have gave him the permission, or the permission in his eyes to start touching me or whatever. And so yeah, back then I was under the notion that you need to fight fire with fire, because these guys, they will never, or at least at the time I thought so, that they would, hmm, if I just asked them politely or whatever, with a deep voice, that they would stop. So I just, back then, I was under the notion that I needed to be like aggressive, you know? I needed to raise my voice. I needed to even do like a non-verbal communication where I would literally just like turn around with my entire body, you know, and I would like, you know, look at him with like, whew, with like larger eyes and stuff like that. Yeah, with those hunter eyes, but I would like, mm, my pupils, I would just raise them. You know what I'm talking about. Just like making it seem like he's about to like trigger me into doing something that I shouldn't do. And so that's exactly what I did. I turned around even more, not entirely like 180 degrees, so that I was looking at him straight in the eyes. Of course, I was still tilted, but yeah, I looked him dead in the eyes. I had hunter eyes, and I just increased my pupils, and I raised my voice. I was like, "Who gave you the fucking permission?" I didn't say fucking, but yeah, it sounded like I said it. And immediately, bro, the teacher that was sitting literally in front of me, in the desk in front of me, said that, "Oh, come on, boy, stop it." And even the girl that was sitting next to that male classmate of mine, she was like, "Come on, please put it down quickly." And, and that male classmate, he was like, "Okay, okay, I'm sorry." And that was the end of it. And literally, even after the class, this was such an unusual reaction from me, right? Because I'm always that peaceful, that smart guy who everyone knows that they can just talk to at any time. That chill guy who who seems like he doesn't give a fuck about anything most of the time. Yeah. So like even literally after the class, one of the other male classmates of mine, he was like, "Bro, TR, did you just what did he tell you? Did did you guys argue or something?" Yeah, this was so unusual for me. And I was under this notion for a little longer, and even during the summer, bro, I was literally imagining myself in all these kinds of different scenarios where we would fight, like genuinely, because I just knew that it was gonna come again. Like these scenarios where he was gonna, uh, like, you know, make fun of me, where he was gonna grab me and stuff like that. Because keep in mind, this wasn't the first time that had happened, and it wouldn't be the last time that happened in the same month. So it happened more times, even. And yet, still, I was preparing for it. I was literally prepared to throw fucking hands or whatever, bro. Of course, I wasn't thinking about it most of the time. Like, my primary focus was on reading books and actually this channel and other stuff like that. And this was just something that I was thinking about, like when I was getting steps for my step count on my watch, for example, or whatever. Just basically whenever I had the free time to just think my daily thoughts, you know. And yeah, it felt like I literally turned myself into Sosuke Aizen from Bleach. I was literally thinking about all of these kinds of different scenarios because I thought to myself, if that fight actually comes, then I better make it fucking count. But yeah, that fight never ended up happening. And instead, I realized something very interesting. You see, in our modern world, we watch all of these TV shows, all of these video games, and they all have this same message that we need to fight our problems. But that's not how it's supposed to be. We are meant to understand our problems so that we can adapt. Keep in mind, when those self-improvement YouTubers say that we how we can beat lust, how we can defeat our video game addiction. You know, they use these fighting terms. But in reality, none of them realize that all of their bad habit is caused because they are deeply engraved in their subconscious mind. Your physical reality, everything that you see around yourself, whether it is this table or this wall right over here, it's not real. It is just a product of someone's imagination. And we can have a whole video about this. But basically, have you ever thought about someone and then later that same day they called you or you just met them straight up in real life? Yeah, that's a proof of that. This is called quantum entang I'm gonna butcher this. Quantum entanglement. Entanglement, yeah. And basically it means that no matter how far away particles are in the universe, they are always connected through this invisible string that always connects them together. It's meaning that if one gets triggered, the other one gets also. And what is this? What is this invisible string that we cannot see? It is a string between mind and matter. Because mind and matter are the same thing. The only difference is the rate of how much attention we put onto it. Any single idea that you have, whether it is the idea of you fighting that classmate or that idea of you becoming successful and never having to work for the rest of your life, whether it is the idea of you becoming a skilled boxer or whether it is the idea of you driving down a mountain with your bike and breaking your left arm or whatever, all of these are just ideas. And the only things that separate them from being truths is your mind and especially your subconscious mind accepting that there are truths. All of the truths that you hold in your subconscious mind are just ideas that has so much energy and attention put onto them through you that now they're just truths. And now your mind manifests all of that into your physical world. And thus, you have the effect. I believed for 2 years straight that all of them were just out there to get me. Like, bro, I was literally coming in there into my class each and every single day, ready to fucking brawl because, you know, I was this like alpha male back then. I was literally watching hundreds of self-improvement videos. I was literally, yeah, I was fixing my mental health. I was literally raising my testosterone levels. So I was like ready to rumble or whatever. And yeah, I know that this wasn't healthy. And yeah, so. And instead, you should focus on the problems and understand them, those that are inside of your mind. Because if you don't fix them, if you don't replace those emotionally charged truths that you hold in there in your subconscious mind with other strong emotionally charged truths that you put attention onto, then you will never overcome them. Then there will always be people who will be coming after you. It will just remain a truth that will keep on coming back to you. And the perception and projection loop will continue, the negative feedback loop. You will start to think that everyone is out there to get you. Then one day, you get robbed because you weren't paying attention on the bus stop, and now they stole like $100 from you. That's fucked up, isn't it? And so you start shouting, you start ranting in your head. See, I knew that it was the truth. Everyone in this fucking town is out here to get me. Fuck, I hate this town so much. That's literally gonna be you. And then that thought, that truth in your subconscious mind gets reinforced, and the negative feedback loop continues, 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 and continues. So let me ask you this. Do you want to be right? Or do you want to be in your right reality? In that desired one that you so desire? That's exactly the question that I asked myself. And immediately the next day, I went on to the biggest meditation session that I ever have been. And let me tell you, I completely rewrote that truth out of my subconscious mind. I literally imagined myself just getting along with them, you know? I literally just imagined myself having a nice laugh with them. Of course, it wasn't like a very complicated scene, like we would spend the rest of our lives together as friends, no homo, of course. And so, yeah, it changed. And now they're truly not out there to get me, because my subconscious mind doesn't accept it as a truth anymore. That's just how this works. And yeah, sure, some people, they have such strong inner demons that this truth is something that you cannot just rewrite in one meditation session. It is something that you gotta get back to over and over again, because you've been living with this truth for like 2 years probably, and now this new truth that has been existing for like an hour maybe is trying to fight this huge one. Well, it's gonna take you like 6 more months with strong emotionally charged meditation sessions for you to get over it with theta and alpha brain frequencies. But that's okay, because in the end, you will literally beat your demons, if you want to call it like that. But the notion that I like to use more is understanding them and beating them at their own game. Because what they are trying to do is get an emotional reaction out of you. They are trying to reinforce themselves so that they can continue living in the spiritual realm, so that they can continue haunting your subconscious mind. So you should not beat them in the physical world. You need to beat them in the mental world. You need to beat them at their own game. You need to outsmart them and realize that they're just out there to get you. And next time that it happens, just think to yourself, that's so funny. Like literally imagine it as a small child crying. And after that, yeah, you're set. All it takes is just like a couple of weeks of strong meditation sessions with alpha and theta brain frequencies, and just imagining the desired reality where that truth isn't a truth anymore, and where that doesn't happen to you anymore. That's the healthy mindset that you must adopt. And let me tell you, everything will change for you from that point onwards. That's exactly what you have to do. And let me tell you, after this, he touched me one more time. Of course, not in a gay way, of course, but like, it, I was just sitting like in my class, and I was like, whew, I was doing something on my phone, and I was like really bent over. Pause. And I was doing something, and so I just put away my mobile phone and I decided to stretch. So I put my both of my hands at the back of my head and I just stretched. And both of my armpits were wide stretched. And he just came from my left side and he like rubbed his finger on my left armpit. Of course, it wasn't like anything gay or anything. I knew that he was just making fun of me. And so I just viewed it in like a positive, friendly way. Like he still cares about me, right? Like he just wants to retain just a normal and a healthy relationship with me. And so we just laughed it off, like I started laughing and he too. And so yeah, no one is out there to get you. It is only in your head. So reprogram your subconscious mind with positive illusions, with positive emotions, sorry. And yeah, just don't pay attention to the truth that has been happening, because all that truth and that idea that you hold in your subconscious mind wants to get is that emotional reaction that you give it. Because, yeah, if you give it that emotional reaction, it can continue living. And this is how you can truly beat it. But in reality, you're understanding it and beating it at its own game. And this is how you truly can overcome this truth. Okay? If you want to learn about healthy mindsets that will guarantee success in the long term and in the short term by mending your mental health and bring you on the right path, no matter what, no matter the life test, no matter the goal, then I highly suggest that you go check out Timeless Reader's Mindsets in the description. It is truly something life-changing and you would be an absolute fool to miss out, especially with the discounts that is happening over there right now. You will never have to overthink about relationship problems ever again. All you need to do is just come back to them over and over again. And with that being said, thank you very much for watching this video, and remember, no one is better at being you